We're here with Profo One from Floor Gangs, Shadow Rock, Knuckle Neck Tribe. Um, Profo is a guy that I've wanted to have a chat with for a while. He's got a lot of knowledge, so thanks for coming on this thing and sharing what you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. No, I seen what you do. You did with the one with Arc,
mm,
Renegade, and a few of the friends. You know what I mean, within the
mhm,
close knit. So
mhm.
I was like, it was a matter of time, I guess. I was like, I wonder if he's gonna ever ask me, and then he did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
okay, cool,
yeah, yeah,
excellent,
yeah. And I think we'll have a lot of interesting things to talk about because you
for
you
sure.
you do a lot of cool things, and you're one of the people like in the breaking community that uh does things outside of just say like breaking and competitions and this kind of thing. Like you try and do, well, we'll get into
Yeah,
that, like little talk shows and sort of podcasts or
yeah.
not
I
sort of things.
I took a break for about a year and a half, um, which was funny. Like 2019, I slowed down and I was battling more actually doing
Hmm.
competition.
Hmm.
Then I was gonna start again in 2020. Then
Yeah, yeah.
everything kind of happened, and I was like, okay, never mind. Then I like started working out actually more,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
on that. But I will plan. I'm planning to bring back the trades this year. You
Hmm.
know, so stay tuned for that.
Cool.
Anyone who's listening, try to
um
do bigger production too. Like I'm trying. I'm gonna ask you how you did this whole thing on Zoom, like as far as the green
yeah.
screen, the background, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see what because that's the whole thing. If I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna come back definitely, different production because I think because of COVID, everyone because the way I did the trades was like, it was on like Facebook Live and it was on
Hmm.
Instagram Live and
Hmm.
everyone's because of COVID, everyone started doing that. So it's like, okay, I
Hmm.
need to be different. I need to
Hmm.
be better production and it's about time too. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. um so for anyone that might not know who you are, do you mind doing just like a little background on yourself and
Sure.
um,
Um,
whatever?
yeah, I started dancing. Well, the first exposure to breaking was actually like 1983 in the Bay
Damn.
Area. Yeah, I was 7, 8 years old. Uh, my cousin Ray, he was in a crew called Zero Gravity in San Francisco and in Richmond, California, which is Northern California. And yeah, he just thought it would be cool to show his little cousins, me and my brother, my twin brother Rob, also known as Rob Nasty, to how to do like the worm and maybe backspin or something like that. And we were like super young. So like that was the first exposure to it. Then it died in the 80s, like as far as breaking, but there's other dances that came after, like, the social dances as far as, the hip hop, you know, the social hip hop dances like the Running Man and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Smurf, Roger Rabbit. And then there was a crew called Knuckle Neck Tribe that we saw on a local hip hop show called Home Turf. And their DJ was DJ Hubert, but with the Knuckle Neck Tribe as the dancers who eventually became West Coast Rock Steady. So
Hmm.
after we saw that, it's like, oh shit, breaking's coming back. And this was like 1991. And that was
Hmm.
30 years ago. So that's when I started like, yeah, that's when I started dancing. I was 16 years old. I was doing more of a freestyle hip hop uh, that we called housing back in California. We called it housing, but it was no, but in East Coast they just called it hip hop. So the correct term is freestyle hip hop. So I start like with my man Mike Disco, who still does it to this day.
Hmm.
And I started out with that. Then around like I took a break from dancing around 94 to 95. I got really into martial arts and I was doing like different ones. Like I was doing judo, capoeira, Eskrima Serrata, Wing Chun. And
Yeah.
then because of the capoeira, I learned how to do a handstand. I was like,
Hmm.
well, I'm going to give breaking a try. And after that, it was done. Like I
Yeah.
was kind of like, I was like, I was with Lino in Hawaii, and we were on the turntable scratching. And I remember I was like, damn, you could scratch too. It's like, well, yeah. Back then, we were like, when you're a hip hop guy, you tried everything. Like I did try to rhyme. I
Hmm.
did graffiti.
Hmm.
Not dope, but
You
but I
dabbled,
did
right?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
And the hardest thing for me was breaking, just because physically it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think I stuck to it, because I'm
Mm.
still to this day challenged with it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and that was like 95, 96, 97. So, but you know, so that was like, I was like 22 at the time. So it was considered, back then that was old.
Yeah.
Like now there's like no age. It doesn't matter when you start, you just start.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, because it was just kind of like, what are you gonna do? Because like you ended at like 18
Mm-hmm.
back then. You know, once you're done with high school, it's like, why do it?
Yeah.
But then, you know, I came from the era pre competition era. So
Mm.
back then it was just a jam. Like a jam isn't like a competition. A jam was like a high school or a club for kids,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was a club for kids. Like you go in, you know, they're playing the top 40 stuff. And then at one point of the night, you see a crew that you didn't like down the block or a different city or something like that. You battle for 30 minutes. And there were still graffiti guys with their black books in the back or whatever. And then by the end, they played Jodeci, and then you ask a girl to dance. You know what I mean? Like, or something like that, a slow
Yeah,
song or
yeah,
something like that. So, you know, and the era I came from was kind of like it was split in half, guys and girls.
yeah. Mm.
And especially in the Bay Area. And I think that's why like Little Caesar, Crazy Legs, Zulu Gremlin used to come up to the Bay at that time, because even though everyone had their, you know, scenes, like kind of like LA had like LA Breakers, Air Force, and Grems and them, Zulu Gremlin and them with the hip hop shop. And then New York had Rocksteady Crew and maybe Quickstep. Like we had numbers.
Mm.
We had like events every weekend. And me and Mikey Disco did his research, and there was like 60 crews in the Bay Area in like
Yeah.
from 1991 to 93. And that's from Sacramento to San Jose. So anytime there would be a battle or something like that, or there's a different crew that we'd see, and predominantly Filipino.
Mm.
And yeah, man, we after that it was kind of like they would come because they would get props. Unlike Lil Caesar, who said he would go to the clubs and get kicked out. Oh, you're doing that old shit, and you would
Mm.
hear that even within hip hop dance, because Elite Force was doing, you know, they're going to Latin Quarters doing the freestyle hip hop. When Quick Step would come up or Legs would come up, they're like, "Oh, you're doing that old shit." They kind of
Mm.
hated on it. That's old.
Mm.
So they would come to the Bay. It was just like they were fucking famous already, like more famous than now. And the other thing is that, like, let's say you were going out in a battle, right? Let's say you're in a cipher and you're battling, I don't know, let's say Daily City Breakers or something like that. You go out, like all them girls would be like, go D, like that. There were groupie crews back in the day.
Crazy.
There were groupie crews. There were crews that were just groupies, a bunch of girls that just liked the other crew. Like it's kind of crazy. It'll never. I don't think I'll ever get back to that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think. I mean, there might be groupies or whatever and whatnot, or girls that are fans, but not like how it was back then. You know,
Mm.
it was pretty. It was fun. It was a fun time. So again, that's why I have a different perspective too. Like
Yeah.
when it comes to competition,
Yeah, yeah.
like I like to compete, but it's like I'm not. Oh man, we lost. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
lose. Like, oh, that sucks. Like I'll be like, oh man, because I'm better or something like that. Or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
judges, damn, they see something different, but it won't
Mm.
be like how some people lose it. Like, oh, like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it won't ever be that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally get that. I don't know if that's like a West Coast kind of thing too. Like,
I mean that's partially it. That's
yeah.
partially it because I think in the East Coast, like before, like I hear stories like, yeah, they used to talk shit to each other, like fuck that, watch this shit. In the
Mm.
West Coast, if I just flicked you off, I have their dude that's big that doesn't dance is gonna jump in the circle and punch me in the face. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like there was always a respect because even there was dudes in my crew that weren't dancers. They just wanted to hang out because they knew the girl. Like if they go with us, girls are gonna watch us. And they get to talk to the girls. Or there's another dude that's just like always angry and ready to fight. So
Uh,
any reason to fight, like
uh,
he's gonna fight. He's gonna
yeah.
lose his temper. Yeah, he's usually a bigger dude. That's just what it was. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Back then. So now it's like different. Like now it's like, there's controversy of Jethro calling out,
Yeah,
Lee.
yeah.
10 years ago that was allowed, but now it's just like maybe it's, I don't know. Like I really don't have an opinion on it because as a judge, I'm always ready just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As a promoter, I would be mad if it disrupted the flow, let's say of a live event that's streamed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if Moy said it was okay, then that's on him and that's on,
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
judge, you could always say no too. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
handle me later. But they all agreed. So, a lot of people actually enjoyed it because,
yeah.
they like the drama.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's one thing that gives breaking, even though people are like, we can't have that. Like, I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast one time. There was a jiu-jitsu guy talking
Mm-hmm.
about MMA. And
Mm-hmm.
there's three things that attract the audience, right? One is the violence.
Mm-hmm.
Like just straight up, like we're gonna see blood, right? Two is the technique.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, like he did a Kimura into a whatever or a strike. He's a better striker than a than a ground guy.
Mm-hmm.
Three is drama.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's why
So
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
That's why like pro wrestling is still
Yeah,
around.
exactly. I mean, it might turn into that. I don't. I mean, who knows, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, will that necessarily be me? Not necessarily. Am I against it to a certain extent? If it gets into violence, then I do care,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't, then I don't know. It's just more. I'm more of the. If I don't like it, I won't do it. You can
Yeah.
go ahead and do it. That's up to you. If you do it to me, then expect a certain behavior, depending on how much you push it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am still old school in a way too. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? In that way. But like, I'm big on not preaching now. As of now, as I get older, I'm big on not preaching and just kind of being the thing I want to see. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah. That's a
I'm
good
more of
way to
that.
go about things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a. I don't know. Maybe I missed something, but was there something like special about that call out that
No,
like
it was.
it
I
seemed
think it
like
was a
something that happens or it used to happen.
no. It used to happen. I think a lot before, but now that
Yeah,
there's bigger stakes, it's kind of odd that his whole crew. I mean, I understand Rad wants to back him up, but it was like it was against the judges
yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
certain judges. Then it
Yeah.
became all the judges. Then it became the whole crew. So that made it like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That made it like
Yeah.
new challenger. Like, okay.
Yeah. But
Again,
like
that's like the wrestling shit. Like that's like
yeah,
the wrestling
yeah,
shit.
yeah. That's I think one thing that I like about breaking in general. Not about like call outs or anything like that, but that's part of it is like the spontaneity of like you don't sometimes you just don't know what's gonna happen or like people will do things like when people used to like steal rounds and stuff
Yeah.
when like
Yeah.
that would happen, you'd be like I don't know, people have this idea like you go in and then you go in and then you go in
Right,
and then you
right,
go in and then people
right.
started doing that where it's like you hesitated for a split second, okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
steal your round or
Yeah.
something like that and
Yeah.
like
You're gonna
whatever,
go in
right?
and do it. Yeah.
And it's like it's so it feels so fresh in the beginning when someone first does it and you're like it's
Yeah.
exciting, it's something
Like,
new and
oh shit. Like, yeah.
yeah, it's like I don't know, some guy popping out of the ring and like pulling the
Right,
guy
yeah.
in or something like that,
Right.
right?
It's for sure. It's like battle royale. Like he's running off the stadium with a chair.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
ah!
exactly, right? Like that's
You know what I
that's the
mean?
whole appeal of like say pro wrestling or whatever. But
Yeah.
um, you know, like that's one of the things that I personally like about breaking. But yeah, you know, you got to balance things out with like yeah,
Yeah.
you're running an event and the time and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then the other thing that I was thinking about with that is like with like calling out the judges. I get it, but then also at the same time, like it's kind of I don't know, maybe it's a like young and hungry, prove yourself kind of thing
Yeah.
versus
For sure.
okay, I'm older and like I've proved enough and this kind of thing, and
Yeah.
like it's kind of
I mean, I
you
think
guys fall
so.
in
I
that.
mean, I think that's you hit the nail on the head. Like I think it is like I'm young and hungry. I
Mm,
don't agree with you. And then here's the other thing, it's like he was probably taught to be like that too.
yeah,
You know what I mean? He was
Yeah.
taught like, yeah, this is some raw shit. This is real breaking,
Mm.
real b-boying, you know what I mean? So he's taught to do that
Mm-hmm.
because I know the guys that kind of worked with him, you know what I mean? As far as
Mm-hmm.
like as far as Rad, it was oh shit, I forgot his name.
Where are they
Because
from, by the
they're
way?
Texas.
Uh,
So damn, was he part of Jive Turkeys? I forgot. Oh, man. Sorry, yo, if you're listening, man, my bad. I forgot. Shoot.
yeah.
What was his
Anyway.
name? Maybe you could I remember like one guy that was like he wasn't having Koro, but it might have been Jive Turkeys or it might have been MOM.
Okay.
He used to spit his gum in the air and then catch it in his round.
Oh,
You know him?
Germ,
Yeah. Jesse Germs. Yeah,
Jesse
Jesse Germs.
Germs.
I think yeah,
Yeah.
that's who taught Rat.
Oh.
So you can see, I could see when he was bringing him up, he was like, "Yo, you want to be raw? You know what I
Mm.
mean? You got to be, So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like Cobra Kai. They were taught that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They were taught that,
Yeah.
and like I said, I have no problem. Now, if I teach that to people that I work with, not really.
Mm.
I just say take the L and get better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go against Jesse and be like, no, that's wrong. Like, no, because it used to happen. You know what
Mm.
I mean? So it's kind of like, but
Yeah.
again, I came from even before that. There were no such thing as judges.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
The crowd was the judge, right?
yeah, and even
Basically.
like when we had competition, right? Competition in the West Coast was your showcase.
Hmm.
So usually a random like I remember this one showcase was like DJ Kubert, DJ Apollo, and this promoter guy. They were the judges of who had the best show, and
Hmm.
then you won the competition. Do you know what
Right.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
those were it was like showcase. The battles happened in the ciphers, like
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. While you're waiting to go up, like you get called out or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's a different time. So we didn't call it like I'm gonna call out Mixmaster Mike. It's like he scratches, like he's gonna like what he likes. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
battle on scratching, like
Yeah. Yeah.
so even like if you think about it, not even professional competition, organized competition has only been happening really since like the 1995. That's about 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like major competition has happened about maybe less than that, like 15 years. Like freestyle session was
Maybe.
kind of, you know what I mean? Like Battle of
Yeah.
the Year was like kind of the first one to go to because there was like Radiotron, B-Boy Summit, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were competitions too, but it wasn't like at the scale of like Battle of the Year,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like they had professional camera work. Because I
Yeah.
remember I
Yeah.
first saw it, like, what is this, a game show? Like, you know, and then it was like, what the hell? Then you got, YouTube becoming a YouTube. Then it used to be, oh, I can't wait to get on DVD. Then it was
Mm.
like, then you're on YouTube. Then it was like, well, your footage is the same night as you went out, and then now they're just live. Like, so it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I
It's
mean?
pretty
So there's like
crazy.
a difference. Yeah, there's a difference. So a lot of that where Jesse Germs comes up from is way after us. So it's like kind of like it was spawned in that time of uh Radiotron Summit freestyle session. It
Mm-hmm.
was spawned from that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That call out the judges because there was no such thing as judges before.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So it spawned out of that. While then you put location and time era I'm from, like none of that existed. So
Yeah.
my attitude is gonna be totally different from
Yeah.
if you feel like you're screwed in the battle. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. But like the other thing too is like this is something that comes up with Renegade. That came up with Renegade, but like he mentions this kind of thing a lot just in his whatever, Renegade giant
yeah,
Facebook posts, or now he's on like
yeah.
Instagram or whatever doing like
His essay.
10 stories in a row or something. But
Yeah.
like, and I think there's some kind of balance here that has to happen. But like, judging and and like, let's say knowledge of judging and what's good and what's not doesn't necessarily equal that person's current like skill level or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's true.
so it's like
It,
calling out the
it's true.
judge. I get why it happens, and I get like why someone might do it or whatever. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, does that really prove anything, or that they were
No,
wrong or something like that? Like it might, it
no.
kind of, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but you know,
I don't think it does. It
like,
doesn't prove anything.
yeah,
It
like you,
proves
yeah.
that, and this is, some people are gonna be mad about this. It proves that whatever issues you have with your parents needs to be solved in the physical manifestation.
Mm.
Really, that's mom and dad judging you. So
Maybe
in
we're
a
getting
way,
some
it's that.
psychology here now.
No, man, dude, I think about it all the time.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
hip hop
yeah,
is born of trauma.
yeah.
We could look at the OGs right now
Hmm.
and we could say it's full of trauma.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
So it's like some guns blazing, uber masculinity happening, and I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
Um, but the whole thing is, does it take away that person's knowledge? Because
Mm.
Renegade does do his homework. He
Yeah,
has trained world champions,
yeah, yeah,
or at least touched them, and at least put his, because he knows he doesn't know. Maybe he's not physically able to do it, but he
yeah,
knows what it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that's what makes me different from Renegade 2, because I'm more like, well, let me show you how to do it too. And
yeah,
if I
yeah.
don't know how to do it, you'll see me try to do it.
Hmm.
And that's why
Hmm.
I work out so much. That's one of the reasons why. And guess what? No one questions me as much. And it's fucked up because maybe Renegade knows more if he's older than,
Hmm.
but it's fucked up. No one questions me as much as they question Renegade because the
Mm.
fact. And I had a conversation with Renegade too. He's like, "What is it going to take?" I go, "You doing an air flare in your showcase?" He's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Pretty
go,
much, I
"Yeah."
think.
Everyone's going to take you serious, bro. He's like, "Why is that?" Because we're still animals, man.
Yeah.
Breaking is visceral. Like I said, it's uber masculine.
Mm.
There's nothing politically correct. In our DNA, we used to hunt for thousands of years for food. We have, in our DNA, we dominate other cultures.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
Doesn't matter. If I think you're weaker, I'm gonna pick that. Everyone's like, that's evil. No, it's in our DNA. That's our animalistic behavior. And what do
mm.
you think we're doing in this dance form?
Mm.
We're expressing, we're manifesting it into this play.
Mm.
So that way we don't actually really murder people.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it's like
We're doing.
lots of social hierarchy
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. And
Yeah. I mean, think about it. And it took a while for me to figure this out because it was kind of like, that guy's front. That guy's a fucking nerd. Why the fuck is he throwing a cock in my face and just trying to be hard when I know I could, like, he could be like 3 foot tall and still like the bravado of someone that's like 6 foot and trying to mess me up. And he knows I can. If we stop dancing right now, that guy knows I can fuck him up. That guy knows I can beat him up. He knows it, but he's still, I gotta do it. I gotta put this cock in your face. I gotta fucking value and destroy you. And then, oh, and then shake your hand. Like, oh, what do I do? Why? Because it's in his DNA. Think about how much time that nerdy Asian, let's say it's a nerdy Asian kid that never talked to any women and always got picked on in his life. That's his only space to feel safe to do that
yeah, yeah.
because it needs to be manifested because it's stored up.
Mm.
All that time getting bullied and all that time, oh, you're nobody and no girls like you. And, your lunch money is being stolen or you're cyberbullied now. I don't know, whatever it is. It's like, you're not gonna be politically correct. You're not gonna be thinking. You're gonna be just that animal's going like, I need to be expressed.
Mm. Mm.
And that's the same thing what we're talking about, when you mix, I'm really into this right now. It's like the animal, we all have animal instincts and we have trauma. You mix those two together, that's when it's bad.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So partially what Jethro did was that animal instinct, right? And maybe the trauma is like, judges always screwed him.
Mm.
You add that together, I gotta act. No, this ain't right. I mean, and there's multiple factors if you think about it. He's in his home city. He can't look stupid in his home city. Oh, I'm watching El Nino. That wasn't fly to me. That's when it comes to personal choice and dancing. Like, man, I lit it up. I was dancing. I was like, that's how it's supposed to be. But you're being judged. It's
Yeah.
not about what you think it's supposed to be. It's what
Yeah. Yeah.
they think it's supposed to be. And then that's why it's like after I don't take it personally because like let's say it's like pocket judging me.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going against an equal skill level guy that does mostly power, I'm probably going to lose. That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we're really close, then it's going to come down to style preference.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be like, yo, I lit it, and it's in my home, it's in my hood, and everyone's cheering for me. I still might lose, and that's just the gamble. And that's why I could not call out. That's why I'll like stay calm and not call it judges because like, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, this is something that I thought about a lot too with like just the ego in the sense of like your the idea of like how you view yourself and what you think of yourself and that kind of thing, and not like, oh, he's got a big ego and he's, he
Right?
thinks that
Yeah.
he's whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I
Yeah.
mean, that's part of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, like, and especially when you're younger, like, you don't even maybe realize that that's like playing in, and the
No.
culture is built off of this kind of
Yes.
mentality. And so
Yes.
like, just, I mean, maybe you feel this way too, but just like
Yeah.
being older and just getting older and just kind of, you take a step back and you're like, man, some of this stuff just doesn't really matter. Like, it's not that
Yeah.
important. And like,
For sure.
you know, the stuff with like judges and like, oh, this, they said I lost this battle because XYZ. And like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, that's what they thought. And you have
Yeah.
your own opinions and your own way
Yeah.
that you want to dance and this kind of thing.
100.
And like, if your only validation is coming from what these judges think, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Like, that can be
100.
part of it. And like you said,
Yeah.
competitions are fun and they serve their purpose, and it's a great way to get people to like push themselves and push their physicality, push their creativity, push like all kinds of things. But
Yeah.
I don't think it should be the only option for people, and it isn't. It's just the main one that people get exposed
And we
to all the
don't
time.
we're not even aware of that. Like what I'm talking about, the animal in us, we're not even
Yeah,
aware of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not even aware of that. We just like, being older, I see it reflect back now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I go, oh
Mm-hmm.
shit, that was the animal when I acted like that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Or that was trauma when I acted like that.
yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like, you got to be aware. These kids aren't aware. They're just like, yo, I want to dance. And then, yeah, it's kind of like the uber masculine
Mm-hmm.
culture of
Mm-hmm.
just, you got to dominate. Everyone was like, I remember one guy was like, man, why do they give you the cock and breaking? That's just gay. And what is everyone's gay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in prison, they rape each other. It's gay in the sense of, yeah, if you're a man with a man, that's a homosexual act, but it's an act of violence. That's why rape is violence. It's
Or like
about dominance.
domination. Yeah, yeah.
So they rape more than half of the reasons for dominance.
Mm.
Dogs do it to each other.
Yeah,
Dogs will sit on a cat's face like, I'm the fucking dog. I'm the alpha male here.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
The dogs only obey us because we're the alpha male. Because you
yeah.
won't eat and that's what they listen to.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like, no, we're enlightened society. It's like, no, we're not. We're fucking savages.
yeah, yeah.
Breaking is a manifestation of how we're savage still. But the thing is that we're trying to create a healthy space to be a savage. Like,
Yeah, that's
act out,
like you,
act out the savagery. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
it's like you said, that's in us. All this stuff is in us. We just gotta find like
yes,
healthy ways to
yeah,
to get it out.
yeah, and that's one thing we have to address before. And I think that's just what's going on in culture right now, and just like from the Me Too movement, from all this,
Mhm.
like, instead of shunning everything, of course, accountability, but understand that we are savages. Because like no matter what, you're going to act on that depending on the trauma. Your
Mhm.
animal come out depending on the trauma.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because you say that what's going on with the Asian elderly being attacked. It's that
Mhm.
same thing. It's that same. And it's like, why is it mostly right now African American males attacking elderly Asians? Well, because the police are beating them up, and they feel like they don't have anything going on. who's the most likely victim? You think it's going to be an elderly black lady that's going to scream at you, or elderly white woman's like, he did this, and be a Karen? Or is it going to be the Asian that just like takes the hit, stands back up, and walks away? No screaming, no complaining. If I was a guy that was trauma filled and wanted to abuse somebody, it's not going to be the big guy that could fuck me up. It's going to be the person that's going to make the least, noise or reaction. And because of Asian culture is why it's like, okay, always be humble, keep your head down the floor, especially if you're older. They're going to leave me alone.
Don't make a big fuss.
Don't make a big fuss, all that. You still got to show face. There's all these things that's kind of like, that why it will happen. So it always goes back to the psychology of dominance. Even though it's like we're trying to correct that, good luck. Thousands of years in our DNA. Okay.
Or even just things like us and them, like inside group, outside group, that kind of thing.
Yeah, tribalism is in our DNA.
Yeah.
So
well, that's why things like, say, back in the day it was organized religion, and that's what allowed larger groups of people to feel connected as one thing. And then it was like, the nation state. It's like, oh, well, we're Canadians, so we're all bonded, or we're Americans, so we're all bonded. And then it's like, well, we're Europeans and we're all bonded in that sense.
East Coast, West Coast rap wars, power move guys versus footwork guys, cypher b-boys versus competition b-boys, abstract b-boys. Like, it will go on until we like somehow get enlightened of it. But it will go on. This dichotomy will go on. And I talked about this 4 years ago. It's the same shit. I hear it's like cycled the same shit. It used to be West Coast versus East Coast. Then it was power moves versus footwork guys. Then it was cypher guys versus competition guys. Then like it's gonna just keep going. Then it's like B-boys versus B-girls, and like it's just in our nature to just oppose something too, and feel and be good with our tribe. You know what I mean? So it's hard. It's hard to kind of like. That's why for me, it's I always have to. For me, my practice is questioning even my reactions to everything. Where is this coming from? Like if I react, I hold on, wait, where is this coming from? Is it genetic? Is it nature or nurture? And then it's like, okay, should I react? How we react, calmly or not, or like in the moment? And that's a practice. That shit. I don't know a lot of people that practice that, especially if you're a b-boy when you're rewarded on attacking someone.
And just acting on instinct and emotion.
I'm rewarded. That endorphins come, and you know what I mean? Like the dopamine comes on. I guess this is right. I should even though it's like the other guy's like, you're disrespectful. You think like it's just like WWE. Here comes George the Animal Steel. I don't know. Like, he's rewarded for being obnoxious, man. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I gonna say you're wrong? I'll be like, in that situation, no, because that's just entertaining as fuck. But if I was the guy getting hit with the chair and it was real life, then that sucks. Like,
yeah. It's like I think that's just something that I hopefully out of all this, like that's something that comes up as something that people should explore. Is like,
I mean, I'm gonna keep preaching it. That's for sure. It's just awareness of who you are. I'm really into psychology. Like, like it's like if I'm into like breaking down footwork, you don't think I'm into breaking down the human, intellect and like I wonder why I want these, you know what I mean? Like why I'm cerebral with footwork and why that maybe the pocket stuff doesn't talk to me as much. And then I go, okay, that was just an opinion based on my history of trauma or preference. So okay, let me let that go and see what pocket does. And then I could really look at, wow, that shit's actually really amazing. That's very physically difficult. But then still hold on to like what I feel of value without the tribalism DNA going, that shit sucks. It's just, I can appreciate that, but it doesn't talk to me as much as this does because of my path or whatever. Like that's what I'm saying. Not a lot of people. I don't know a lot of b-boys that talk like this. You know what I mean? It's rare. Like they just say that shit's raw. That's just raw, B. Like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, what do you even mean by
But
that?
I do know what they mean, but it's like, okay, but why do you feel that way?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
don't want to be like that. Just know, okay, B boys and B girls, just know every time I have a conversation, I'm already trying to figure you out
yeah.
by how you talk to me. I'm trying to figure you out to speak your language and understand you, but know that I will, and this is, I'll say this online, I will always ask, and this is the trick, how's your mom and dad? If I start hearing some crazy shit, then I'll be honest with you. In my back of my mind, I'm judging you. I'm going, oh, okay, extroverted, introverted, okay. Oh, you there, okay. Can I trust this person?
Mm,
How much can I open up to this person? I'll be honest with you, and I'm good at it.
mm.
That's what makes me that's what makes me a little bit different. I'm good at it. I'm good at reading people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So then from according to the data that I take, then that will dictate my reaction to whatever is going on in the situation.
right, right.
Yeah, just like a cipher, I won't just do flares. If there's a top rock cipher, I'm like, yeah, flares. No, reading the cipher. I'm reading
Yeah,
the people in it,
yeah,
watching.
yeah.
Should I jump in or should I not? You know what I mean? Are they doing top rock? Are they doing footwork? Then if it's according to the conversation, the context of the conversation in the cipher, then I'll stay or leave or
Yeah.
participate or watch.
And that's something that, I think the best way to sum up all of that is just like awareness. And,
100. That's the number
like,
one thing I think is a tool for everyone. Is
yeah,
awareness.
yeah. Like, no matter
Awareness
what you do, whatever avenue you're going into, like, if you have
doesn't
awareness of,
matter.
yeah,
Doesn't matter. Awareness is the best tool you have. Because
yeah,
even if you don't act on a certain practice, if you're aware of not practicing it, is part of your practice of getting better.
mm,
Because you're aware of it. If you're not aware of it, I just do what I want. Like
yeah, yeah,
you'll
yeah.
never know, right? What's wrong with these people? Like, and it's you. Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I just punch everyone in the face just because.
but
Like,
that comes back to say things like calling out the judges, right? And it's like,
uh,
or, well, I'll get into this later, but it's that kind of thing. Like, you're some people, I'm not saying that the rad guys thought this way. Maybe they were right and maybe they did get robbed or whatever, but sometimes I've seen it in the past with other things where sometimes it's like, all right, that was really close battle, but this sort of like inflated impression of their own level or something like that, they feel like they got robbed. And maybe there was like something that they didn't see that the judges saw, but they're just not even aware of that
I
because
mean,
they're so blinded by like whatever, well, just where their mentality is at or whatever, where they're.
here's another factor. Who knows what happened the night before?
Mm, yeah.
We don't know. Maybe, you know, this is the first time meeting one of the judges and just does one of this. He shoulders him,
Yeah,
bump his head,
yeah, yeah.
right?
I
Or
don't like this
maybe,
guy.
yeah, or maybe like, who knows? Maybe Pookie was like, before was like, yeah, whack. We don't know. We just know that it ignited something.
Mm.
The decision ignited something, then it escalated.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that
There could be
could be
all these
happening.
factors that we don't know about,
And I've
right?
seen it
So,
with other stuff too, where you get the full story later and you're like,
yeah.
oh, well, that's
Oh,
why.
yeah. Yeah.
This
It's
didn't
like,
even really have
oh,
anything to do with dancing. Like,
yeah, exactly. Just
that
that
can happen
that
for sure.
animal comes out, and it's
For
like,
sure.
well, these are according to the rules of like, the code of just, again, maybe he was taught that too. Like, yo, if you have anything to settle, just call them out.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of factors.
mm,
But I will tell you, it is the dominance hierarchy for sure. That's
yeah.
definitely like what's in us something to prove to myself and or to the trauma that my parents bestowed on me and or I was taught to like call out to judges. So there's like a lot of stuff that just boils up. You know what I mean?
All right. So this is something maybe we can transition into because I did
Okay.
want to ask you about this kind of thing with, say,
Yeah.
the trades and
Yeah.
shows and you and
Yeah.
Ark doing like commentary and things like that.
Yeah.
But it kind of relates to this like uh, social status kind of
Okay.
hierarchy thing.
Word.
Um,
This is
and this
dope.
is something that that me and
Don't worry,
Renegade,
I like this.
yeah, it's fun. Like I like these. I think more of these need to happen. But
Hell yeah, 100.
like Renegade talking about like people like building things instead of just like complaining about stuff or whatever. Like
Word.
you
Yes.
get a lot of people that uh especially like in older generations, but it's not even restricted to that. It could be something that they got past trauma, they felt like they were wrong, they were overlooked
Right,
or something like
right,
that,
right,
and
right.
it's like looking for ways to pull this person down so that they can jump up.
Yeah.
and
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what do they call them, zero sum games or positive sum games. Like
Okay.
zero sum game is like, in order for you to move up, someone else has to move down. And
Mhm.
so it's like they go down, you go up. But
Right.
positive sum is like, say, something like, for example, people developing a solid judging system that
Right.
now you've got this good judging system. It elevates competitions, but then it also provides solid work for judges. And because it's like, I don't know what's the word, like standardized,
Right. Right.
then you
Yeah.
can you can have that go into something like, say, the Olympics. And then if that
Right.
happens, maybe you have like leagues that pop up or whatever.
Right.
And like
Right. Right. Yeah.
and then because it's getting bigger, then that creates more jobs for people to
Right.
do, say,
100. Yeah.
commentary or analysis, or because of that exists. And then people are on YouTube and they're like, okay, here I'm breaking down this
Wave.
battle.
Once the wave comes, all ships.
Yeah,
All
exactly,
ships.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
yeah.
wave comes, all ships. Yeah.
So it's
No matter
like,
what boat you have, even if your boat's that big, once the wave comes, everything lifts. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah.
But
But yeah,
so
it's that
so
kind of
you're
thing.
saying, so like instead of kind of the hierarchy, like okay, this guy wins, I gotta stay here or else someone else has come in. I have to
Yeah,
bring that
like
guy to not get there.
that's something that's in us to do as humans. We've
Yes,
been doing that since
yes,
like the dawn of time.
forever.
But
We're talking about the same thing. It's the same thing. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
but so getting into things like expanding the possibilities of like what can you
Right.
do with breaking,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
these are the things that like we should be trying to like build up. And so I want to talk
Yeah.
to you a bit about like some of the things that you've done, um
Um,
like the
it's always,
trades
yeah.
the
The trades
trades
was more like
and especially it was you and Ark doing like
the
kind of hosting
double
the
dip.
live stream of,
Yeah,
I
that
think it was
too.
like Massive
Yeah.
Monkey and a few
Yeah.
other jams and stuff.
Uh, the Silverback Opens. We did one Silverback Open.
Hmm.
We did a undisputed world final. We've done a Massive Monkeys, and that came from the trades. The trades came from when me and my brother did the Epicenter, and that was like 9 years ago now.
Hmm.
So we were the kind of like the first ones to do kind of like this whole commentary thing
Hmm.
and like podcast or show.
Hmm.
And that came from a producer that knew us and was like, "Hey, it would be dope if you guys did this."
Hmm.
And it's like, "All right, dope." And then me and my brother went different because he liked more the comedy aspect and show aspect. I was
Yeah.
more serious about the analytics
Hmm.
and the actual breaking because
Hmm.
I break, so that's why I'm a super nerd about it. And
Hmm.
like I got like an encyclopedia in my head as far as like history,
Hmm.
nothing written down. So it's like it just spoke more to me. So it wasn't really intentional. Like let's do something different. It was just like let's do it. Then I started to realize, oh, there's nothing out there like this.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And then the trades came around because we stopped that for a while and Epicenter for a while. Trades came about because I remember everyone was talking about Pac on Facebook, and they're just
Hmm.
like, there's just this fuck that guy or that guy's dope or stance. Why do they feature that guy? And the thing is,
Okay.
problem like everyone's realizing now, but I realized 4 years ago is like when you're reading text, you don't know if how that person's presenting himself typing.
Mm.
He might be just joking. He might
Mm.
be, an
Yeah.
emoji can only say so much,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's hard to translate. Like,
Yes,
there's a lot
text.
of what is it, like, meaning and emotion that comes
Yeah.
from, say, body language or just
Yes.
non-verbal, non-visual,
Yes.
like non
Yes.
word, kind of whatever
So
the word
that's
is.
what started the trades. It was like I'm gonna talk about it. That way you could see my face, you could hear my cadence, you
Hmm.
could see my body language.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time I'm pretty objective of stuff. I do have a preference, but when it comes to sharing stuff, I try to be as objective as I can, which makes, like, say, like spin theory, Smurfs thing, subjective. It's just you're watching Smurf be a character,
Yeah.
being the Smurf character persona, just judging shit. That's why you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really listening to like the analytics. You just like, that's dope. Oh, that was nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm more like, why is that nasty?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, or is like, let's say a Stripes is doing something super technical, but then the guys in Philly don't understand him because he doesn't dance as much. So it's just like, well, in Florida they do this. So I'll give the background why he does his preference. So that way I make everyone understand,
Mm-hmm.
versus just like, that was dope, and just give like what I like. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's more like, you choose. But I'm gonna give you all the information, present it objectively, and then you guys choose. And it's like what news is supposed to be, like, objective. Like, I try to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I save my editorials for later.
Mm-hmm.
That news now is all editorials. Before it was like objective. So I
Mm-hmm.
try to give an objective thing on breaking, even if I don't like the guy. Say I don't like this B boy or B girl, and I think the moves are whack. I try to find value in the moves, be objective about it. Here you go. You decide what you want,
Mm-hmm.
what you like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just giving you the stats, play by play of why this why I think this judge does that. Because that's part of the commentary, was like, what is the judge's thinking? What's
Mm-hmm.
his background?
Yeah,
As
yeah,
much
yeah.
as the competitor. So that
Mm-hmm.
way, the more the audience sees that, the more they understand the craft too,
Mm-hmm.
and perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that was just a lane created from, just because it wasn't there. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, that was obvious. There's no
Yeah.
one being objective right now. Because in
Yeah.
breaking, you're not really taught to be objective. You're taught to stand your ground no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
which is dominance hierarchy behavior of just, just, this is, you don't back down. I'm like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not backing down. I'm just presenting this objectivity. You do what you want with it.
Yeah.
You know what I
And a bit
mean?
of that ego too, you know.
Yeah, 100.
I can't look foolish. I can't be
Yeah,
wrong. Yeah.
yeah, 100. And it's just like, you're taught like that, like, again, because it's feeding a safe place to be uber masculine, to show that masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're getting fewer and fewer spaces to do it, because cancel culture. But for certain reasons, there should be. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there are reasons right now where it should be, but some not. It depends. You know what I mean?
Well, it's
But I
just
think,
like you
yeah, go
said,
ahead.
finding a good way of expressing it.
Yeah, and you know, so that there was that. Then I started seeing, and it took me Silverback Open 2015 to see this, and this is where a lot of OGs are gonna be mad at me. And when I say OGs, I'm saying the guys a little bit younger, the guys that just hit 40.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The guys that hit 42, 41, 42. Talking to those guys. I'm talking about the VHS era guys, where it's like, the VHS era guys, we could say, is where Jesse Germs learned, which is call out the judges, right? Because that's when, you know, people that are born in 77, that's when they shine, versus the guys in 75, we didn't grow up with competition. Guys from 77, 78, see, I get really exact about this. They start doing the radiotrons. You know what I mean? They're the ones that did the radiotrons and the Battle of the Years, and the freestyle sessions. Um, I started to notice that it was built on, you would get your shine, your props from competition.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the whole keep your shit secret. Don't show anyone all your cards. Because you never know, they're gonna battle you, and you don't want to reveal. And it's true.
Mm-hmm.
There are parts of that are true, but it made more sense in 96, 97, when there was only 5 jams a year.
Yeah.
And it took 8 months before you got a VHS of a freestyle session.
Yeah. Maybe
So
if
back
you were
then,
lucky.
yeah. So back then, you could be in a garage and watch Battle of the Year 97, watch Style Elements win, study everything about Style Elements, go to Battle, fly yourself out, maybe, or something like that, and then have moves that's more advanced than them on them, and win. Because there's only 30 crews that entered down here. See what I'm saying? There's a reason why you kept this secret, right? Now it's like, and this is how I discovered this, man. I was judging when I was judging I was a prelim judge with Renegade. He was right next. It was like 2015 Silverback, and it was like 900. No, there was 700 entries for the 101, right? But 3 ciphers, 5 judges in each cipher.
Jesus.
So I'm gonna just mix it up. The very last one was I judged, prelim judge was 2018. There was 900. So just to make it numbers even, so each cipher had 300 people, and we're only supposed to pick 12.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's just say, numbers wise, that guy's a 7. Let's say everyone's a 7. Everyone's average that day. But here comes skill methods. They did average, but skill methods. Or Kid David. He didn't do so good, but he did as good as everyone else. Oh, Kid David.
Yeah, yeah.
That made me realize that, and people are like, that's favoritism. It's because he's famous. No, because he's visible. Because on my feed, I just saw him last week.
Yeah.
On my feed, I saw him on stamps. So when everyone's at the same skill level, because let's be honest, right now, bro, they're at least in an event like that, like, yo, everyone has like decent footwork, maybe not the best. There's going to be some that are the best at footwork and best at top rock and best at power moves. There's a rarity when they're good at everything, but everyone's pretty good. How are you going to stick out?
Yeah.
Your social media, man. And I said this before to Nick, and then this is where all the underground guys would be like, fuck that! That's not mainstream. I'll tell you this. No one's going to see if a tree fell in the forest and no one's there to hear it, did it fall? That's what it is right now, because there's so many people, because he went from VHS tapes to DVDs to YouTube. Remember YouTube, I saw my battle last week, to it's streaming. Then you got 3 different magazines. You got video magazines. You got B-Boy Network. You got Stance. You got World B-Boy Classic. You got Taiwan World B-Boy Classic. You got Pro Dance. You got all these, let alone Red Bull. The reason why they're getting on is because they're getting seen. And after, as a judge with 300 people, what do you think is going to stick out? I don't even know this guy's name. He might be dope, but maybe he was just a 7 that day.
Yeah.
My brain is going to be like,
yeah.
Let me look at this list. All right, Kid David. Like,
yeah. Like, this is one of the things that, again, you know, the guy is around for a reason. Like Renegade, we were talking about this exact kind of thing with like just the sheer numbers that come up in some of these things and how almost impossible it is to judge like completely objectively without bias in this kind of situation. And it's like, you know, in that sort of situation, like what you really need, but this takes people putting in the work and sacrificing and building what do you call it, like the foundation for these things to grow, is like, yeah, like leagues basically.
Yeah,
and
that helps.
Yeah, and that like helps. So it'd be like, you know, let's say there's a Vancouver league, and then you take, you know, you have monthly battles or whatever you want to. They did it in Seattle for a while.
Right. Yeah.
Where it was like every month people would battle, and you do round robins and stuff. It's like whatever you win, you get this many points, and then at the end you have a playoffs, and then the top you do then you do a tournament, and then the top team or however you want to decide it, they get flown out, and maybe hopefully you have an agreement with that bigger event and be like, okay, our winner is gonna get like a seed into the top 16 placement. You can still have this ridiculous open prelim and whatever, but like at least these people have like proved that they're at a certain level, that kind of thing. And like I guess, you know, it's the kind of thing with, say, like Red Bull too, and there was a sort of controversy, local controversy that happened in Vancouver when there was like a Red Bull. It wasn't an official Red Bull thing, but it was like there was a qualifier. This is so stupid. There was like a Red Bull qualifier for
The qualifier.
the qualifier in the U.S. and then Vancouver had, because they had a connection with the promoter of that
Yeah,
qualifier. So it was like, okay, well, here we're gonna have a thing for to qualify for the qualifier
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
qualifier for the qualifier.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it was
yeah,
the kind of
yeah,
thing like
yeah.
people got pissed because the way that it was done was like they just picked who were the like, I
Favorites
guess
at that time, whatever.
the most
Local favorites. Yeah,
deserving, whatever. But
yeah,
like, there's gonna be times where it's like, oh, this person should have got picked, this person
yeah.
should have got picked,
And
this
that's
kind of
and
thing.
that's where it's like visibility, because maybe it's part of its visibility.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe part of its because a promoter can only do so much if he
yeah,
has maybe his
exactly.
hands and everything else. Now, if he's someone like me, I'm going to do my research before I make my decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then I'm going to try. And then you set a criteria too, because
Mm-hmm.
maybe they have the skills that. And okay, I'll take just to go back to the whole Nico Spins thing or Nico Castro. So, for instance, he did. This was 2018 when he started doing the breaking. He would post breaking every day on his social media, his Instagram, and it made him big. But the fact that it made him big in that way, he became visible. Because before I watched this kid come up, and I remember when he wouldn't get past prelims, but
Mm-hmm.
because of his
Yeah,
visibility,
yeah,
he started getting past prelims.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The problem was he didn't have the experience because a lot of it was in his living room or whatever or not.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have experience, so he would lose.
Mm-hmm.
But because he got his foot in through social media,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
gained the experience because he was getting past prelims now.
Yeah.
Versus before, just like amongst many other b boys and b girls, they won't get past because even though they're experiencing, their visibility is not big, especially on something grand scale. Now we could talk about the littler jams that they build up and beat the local kids, and then they become these local dudes organically, but still against a fucking Red Bull BC1 All Stars, it's going to be a landslide still. So there does have to be this level
Mm-hmm.
of local to state to regional to country. Like it does help because then you're not just forced in and like you're okay. Now you got Balmeno. Like when you're not even experienced battling anyone close to that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and don't get me wrong, there is such thing as a Rocky Balboa moment where you get your shot and like like who did that? Even though like look, even who was the
Well,
guy 2 years ago?
wasn't like Kuzia like that or whatever his name is?
Yeah, Kuzia. No, the other guy. He's in Dynamic Rockers too, but he's from Kazakhstan. In the India final, he did the Lotus pose and all the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, or him too. I forget
That
his
guy.
name.
So, but the thing is, at the same time, he's been on that Red Bull stage at least once prior
Mm.
to that. So he's not. It wasn't totally foreign to him. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
just that was his moment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like everyone, and then most b boys would go like this. Oh, it's favoritism. Oh, it's because of this. It's like, no, you dumb fucks. Like you're just looking from trauma. You're looking at through trauma and how it should be. You're looking through your narcissism because
Mm-hmm.
there is such thing as underground narcissism.
Oh
I
yeah.
found that out. Yeah. So it's like only if they see me they would know. And
Yeah.
it's like, well,
Well,
why aren't
maybe
you there
there's
then,
a
buddy?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Why aren't you there, buddy? You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So I'm trying to like, and my whole thing is like on the mental health issue and emotional health issue. I try to make people aware of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, man, there's no like, yeah, let's not go underground versus mainstream. Let's just go with popular and not popular.
Yeah.
That's more of a solid thing because if it's like you could care not to be popular and love your skill set,
Mm-hmm.
or you can love your skill set and still be popular.
Yeah.
It's just the two different differentiations is how much work are you going to do on your marketing
Mm-hmm.
and how much you're not.
Yeah.
That's
Like
the only thing.
this comes back again to like these certain things that are just in our DNA, and one of them is to like look for what's the word, like we tend to blame the outside rather than
Yes,
ourselves first, and
yes,
that's like
yes,
everyone does that. No one
yes,
is
yes.
immune to that.
100,
And so
100.
like, and that comes back to like, calling out the judges because they're wrong and it's not anything
Yeah,
that I did.
right.
It takes a lot to be like to humble yourself down and
Yeah,
be like, okay, well, maybe there's something that they're seeing
that
that
they
I'm not.
see. Yeah, yeah,
What could
yeah,
that be?
yeah.
And you
And
look at,
that's where it's like, that's where you could get better.
yeah,
You could
yeah,
maybe disagree or agree, but
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where I could get better. That's your
yeah,
opportunity, and that's more of like a self-reflective thing,
yeah. I think
And
it's the
not
biggest
everyone.
thing in breaking, like, or not any, like with anything, not just breaking. Like, if you
Yeah,
want to get
yeah,
better at anything, it's like you
yeah,
can't have this ego of like I should be here. It's like, well, you're not. So get
yeah,
there. And like,
yeah, yeah,
and how
yeah,
do you do that? Is like you make yourself. You look at what your good points are and keep doing that, and look at what
yeah,
your bad points are and improve on them and make them better
yeah,
and that kind of
yeah,
thing.
exactly. Or, and this is what we're going to talk. You create your own.
Or you create your own avenue,
You
right? Yeah,
create your own,
yeah,
and that's one
exactly.
thing. Like, for instance, Squid. He he's not for or against Olympics, but just doesn't speak to him because he knows because of the judging standard,
Hmm.
it's not going to be breaking in his taste. Won't be the thing that he's looking that he prefers.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna make my own thing called the Underground King, where I pick the kids that I like, and they're gonna battle. They're gonna do their thing,
Hmm.
and then that's my shit.
Yeah,
It speaks to my audience.
yeah,
They can have their audience. It's cool.
yeah.
It speaks to my audience. So he creates something, and there's a lot of stuff he's doing now. I talked to him recently. He's doing a lot of crazy, dope shit because he was like, well, that's that.
Hmm.
I'm gonna create something for me, what
Hmm.
I like, what I prefer. Mex did it. He did it with Outbreak.
Yeah.
Like he created something
Amjad
that,
did it with like Circle
yeah,
Kings and
exactly. Circle Kings,
or like what is that? Cipher Addicts and J Skills
Cypher,
and
yeah, that
Yes,
and
J
see,
Skills.
it's as simple as that. It's very simple.
Hmm.
Okay, it's simple to well, first of all, you got to get well, this is the part that's not simple. You got to get over yourself.
Mm.
That's one. Like, oh,
Hmm.
like that shit's whack. It's like, no, it doesn't speak to you. So what are you
Yeah.
gonna do about it? Then the work. Everything else is work.
That's a big
Your
one.
mark, your organization of it, getting people together, getting your judges, getting your budget. Like it
Yeah.
is work.
Yeah.
But you are creating something, and I'll guarantee you will be less bitching because you'll be too busy working on making your shit dope.
Yeah.
And
And
then
that's like
again,
fulfilling in its own way too.
yes, and you're feeding the culture anyway because you're
Yeah.
offering something different,
Yeah.
which is dope. You're giving variety.
Hmm.
That way, you're creating the answer to what you call the problem.
Hmm.
And then who benefits? You benefit, but we all benefit because then your brand is gonna be dope. You know what I mean? Because not everyone's gonna be a Tribe Called Quest fan.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Just like not everyone's gonna be a Chris Brown fan, or not everyone's gonna be a Lil Yachty fan. Let them have their lanes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some people like it all. So that's dope because they're gonna keep feeding the machine that you created,
Hmm.
which is a vision that you saw.
Hmm.
So that's the answer versus like, well, fuck that. No one wants to hire me. Well, fucking create the opportunity. That
Hmm.
way, you don't have to worry about anyone hiring you. You hire yourself.
Yeah.
You do it
Exactly.
yourself.
Yeah.
But then it does take that self-awareness to kind of go, all right, am I going the direction I want to? How come people aren't coming? If that is the goal. So that takes the self-awareness of creating it too. Like, what's your direction after that?
Yeah. But that's
But the
like that
first
self.
thing is,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
the first thing is if there's a need that I have personally that I don't
Hmm.
see there, then I might as well create it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After that,
Chances
it's yeah, go ahead.
chances are there's like someone else who's feeling that too.
Yeah, and then let's say you like someone else didn't do it, you didn't do it first. Well, then you get to talk to the guy that did it, and then you could share your ideas. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe it does work, or maybe you just say, "Well, that guy's not good. I want to see this and
Yeah.
make it better."
This
And
is
even that competition between whatever the disagreement, if it's nice, like let's say it's like civil, you're just gonna make it better anyway. Like that's how styles come out. You know what I mean?
this is
Greggy.
this is like human nature. Like
Yeah,
I was just
yeah,
thinking about like why I was like thinking about this last year and
yeah,
just like one of the things that makes us so successful as like a species. It's just our ability to be adaptable and like
Right.
and our creativity. Like,
Right.
there's some problem. Like, hey, we come from say like our species comes from like a hot environment. Maybe it's like
Right.
grassland, desert,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
whatever, right? That kind of thing. And then like, oh shit, well we got to move for whatever reason, and we're moving
Yeah.
into starting to get pretty cold, and like, oh shit, there's
Right.
an ice age now. What
Right.
do you
Right.
do to adapt? Like people live
Yeah.
there. There's people who live like in
Yeah.
every single part of
Right.
the
Right.
world, and they've
Yeah.
adapted to that. And it's like, why did they adapt to that? Because we have this brain that allows us to
Right.
look at a problem and be like, well, that worked here, but this is a different environment, so I got to change things, and what can I do to make it better? And like
So
with
yeah.
things like competitions or events or whatever, it's like, you know create the thing that you feel is missing, or look at something like someone else's event, like our event, like Floor Horseman in Vancouver,
Right.
spawned out of like this need that we felt was missing in Vancouver, of
Right.
like all everything was competition, so we wanted
Right.
to bring some kind of party. But then like
Right.
we looked at stuff that was um like Cypher Addicts, and we liked that. We liked elements of that, and we took pieces of that. And then there was
Right.
like
Right.
stuff from Who Can Roast the Most, with these like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, uh exhibition battles, and
Yeah.
sometimes like
Yeah.
they would put some of that drama in, and then we
Yeah.
pulled in like our pro wrestling influence and just made it more
Right.
theatrical and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're taking these ideas and then innovating on them and trying to do these new things and trying to do something different. What can you do to like set yourself apart, make
Right.
yourself unique, and
Yeah.
but also meet the demand of the people that, or
Right.
whatever.
And see, that's where it's like, that's where trauma, this is what I'm saying, the trauma and the animal is not a good mix. There,
Yeah.
there's two things, like, there's two things, and I always go like, there's always two things, because to me, there is such thing as infinite possibilities and infinite probabilities in theory, but in real time, it's always binary.
Hmm.
So yeah, in theory, there's all this infinity. It's true, I do believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But in real third dimensional reality, it's binary. You work with yes or no until you make it yes. It's work from there on, right? You have to
Yeah.
prove the theory
Yeah.
versus it being like, okay, like, yeah, would it be great? Yeah, it would be great, but you know what I mean?
Well, it's like over a long enough period of time, it's infinite.
Yeah, yeah.
Depending how short or whatever, how
Yeah,
are you measuring the
exactly.
time?
And
Yeah.
and it might take a while. I don't know. But the
Mm-hmm.
work, the binary is the work. It's yes
Mm-hmm.
or no. Still
Yeah.
binary.
Yeah. Just
And
do it.
when I talk about that with the trauma that people feel, they don't see, they think of the infinite and oh, here's a one word. So the trauma is binary too. It'll either keep you down or you will transcend it.
Hmm.
That's what trauma does. You can either, it'll keep you down or transcend it. For most of the people you see that's complaining, it's keeping them down. They haven't transcended. They haven't healed that trauma to go to the next level. And that's why no one thinks that what we're talking about. That trauma, whatever it is, the trauma could be really deep. Or it could be as simple as like, that's not how breaking's supposed to be. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or, I was always told, because it's almost like, like back then in the music industry, you had to go to an A&R, he finds you, and then he shapes your career and your sound or whatever, and your image. And then a lot of people call that selling out. Like, oh, you used to be this underground dude, whatever, spitting hot bars, and now you're just doing, music for 12-year-old girls, right? That's then. Now, you're your own A&R. You're your own, like, there's no reason why you can't create it.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing stopping you is, you might not win a freestyle session. You might not win a Red Bull. Yeah, that's true. Who said you can't create something that's dope?
Mm-hmm.
Or fuck all that. Because to me, as B-boys and B-girls, we're closer to musical artists. honestly, I feel like we're closer than music artists because it's like, yeah, when you join the Olympics, yes, it's a sport when you join the Olympics. But what 808 did, they did the crew video contest. That was dope. No one
Mm,
has done it
mm.
because everyone has the online battles. Like, no, make a produce like that's like producing a song with your crew. Like, but you're making a video essay about your crew.
Yeah.
No one has done that. They've now everyone's probably gonna be like, hey, we're gonna do this now. I won't be surprised if there's two other crews that hey, we're having a video contest with your crew or yourself or something like that. Because now we're tapping into the art. Now it's the competition is just kind of like this looks the prettiest. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
and then some people be like, ah, the breaking that crew, the breaking sucked, but then their video production was dope. Well, then go make it something where it's just like just raw underground dirty footage, put it together. Fuck it, there's that competition.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
gonna fulfill a certain need. So that's what I'm saying. It's like there are multiple ways. You just got to be aware. Okay, aware. This is the steps, guys. Awareness first, because you got to be aware if you've been traumatized or not.
Yeah.
You got to be aware if you're traumatized or not. You got to aware your skill set, where you stand in your skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Aware of the people around you if they're holding you down and keeping you down, or you're keeping yourself down,
Mm-hmm.
and then work. But
Yeah.
see, it's easier to be like it's that guy's fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's easier to go, that's it's like this judge
Yeah.
did this or this guy did this. That's way easier. Then
Mm-hmm.
fuck. Oh, I'm an asshole and I actually provoked it. Wait a second. Maybe fucking the girlfriend last night was a bad idea. Like or some shit like that. Like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But no one wants to ask those questions, man. No
Yeah,
one wants no one wants to ask those questions or heal from it. You know what I'm saying? So it's
it's
kind of like,
long-term goals versus short or long-term
yeah.
gains versus short-term gains kind of vision.
Yeah, short-term games react triggered by trauma
Yeah.
with the quick fix of like, if I punch this guy in the face, that's gonna feel good. Or if I just say something, it's
Yeah.
gonna make me feel better versus like, okay, well, this shit sucks. I'm in this place, but what can I do to create something dope or,
Mm-hmm.
make a move or react in a way where it'll benefit me versus just getting my ego filled or my my sense of smallness and to force being seen. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the thing is, it's like if you could be doused about it, like the Tao philosophy of just like letting it happen organically, which we all want.
Yeah.
It can happen, but it is the steps of that's painful of like, let me practice this. And sometimes practice doesn't feel organic.
Well,
Sometimes it feels forced.
isn't like Taoist philosophy also kind of like, we talked about it a bit of like it's this or that, this kind of thing,
Yeah,
like footwork or
yeah,
power, and like Taoist
yeah,
philosophy is kind of like, well, it's that and
yeah,
everything, and it's like
yeah,
it's not one or the other, it's
yeah.
them together
It
all
it
at
will
once.
it will eventually become like they say like in like kung fu it's like the soft styles eventually become hard and the hard styles eventually become soft.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
very true. That's
yeah,
what I'm
like,
saying. It's binary, but it's not because it's just more in the moment. Can you catch what you're supposed to be?
yeah,
That's the that's the key. Again, it comes to awareness. In the
yeah.
moment, am I supposed to flow with the river or am I supposed to go against it?
Hmm.
And the
But like,
Taoist is like, the closest to like divinity. Like, am I so in touch do I know to be the rock or be the water?
hmm,
Now, if you're just a rock, because that's your natural reaction, you're gonna be a rock to everything, you're gonna get fucked.
yeah,
Or if
yeah,
you're gonna just be water and be passive about everything, you're gonna be fucked. It's
yeah,
being aware of where you stand and what can I do and
yeah,
apply leverage. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
But
Or
it's
not.
like it's the kind of thing too that like that answer is never gonna come overnight or in a
No,
day or whatever.
no,
And it's like you learn that
no.
kind of stuff through experience and through like past. This is like, I don't know, thinking about this kind of stuff and like being present and what does that even mean? And it's like, part of it is like you have all this experience to draw from. So like, oh, hey, I remember in this situation when this came up, like this didn't work or this worked really well. And but like then also kind of having some foresight into the future of like, so we can take maybe this is an example that everyone can relate to, is like breaking and freestyle and stuff like that. It's like
Exactly.
if
I
you're
was about
too
to say that.
if you're too like free and just like, yeah, just do whatever, and you have nothing that you're building off of, like you're just kind of in this weird like chaotic kind of thing, then
Yep.
it's just like you're just doing stuff, and maybe some of it
Yeah.
might look good, maybe, but you need a
But the
bit of that, like
probability
you
of
need a
it
bit of
being
that.
done
Yeah, yeah,
consistently is rare.
yeah,
It's gonna be
yeah,
hit or miss.
yeah. So
While
you,
the other side of it
yeah,
is
yeah,
if
yeah,
you drill so hard, but you look like a robot and
yeah,
everything
exactly,
was
right,
planned out.
exactly. But
So yeah, what happens?
you'll never get that beautiful kind of freestyle unless you've kind
Right.
of done both and
Yes.
experienced
100.
both. And it's the kind of thing too with like, well, yeah, the guy called out the judge, and he's going through that phase of like experience these raw kind of emotions and doing things just based on like, I feel it, so I'm gonna do it, and you need that. And then maybe later on they'll have some times where it's like, oh, let's kind of look back, and oh, maybe we were too uh whatever, like
Yeah. Yeah.
we didn't think it through, maybe,
Right.
right? Or
Yeah.
maybe that was the right
Yeah.
decision, but they
Yeah.
take the time to analyze it
Right.
and look at it
And
or
see,
whatever,
that's
right?
why I'm not against what Jethro did. I'm just
Yeah,
looking at the situation.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just looking at myself. Like, what would I do? I wouldn't do that. But if it happened to me, am I ready? Yes, because I know how this game works. I know
yeah,
it's driven through this uber masculine
mm-hmm,
dominance hierarchy. I
yeah,
understand it. I'm not
yeah,
against it. I'll be against it once it gets like really bad, like racist or things that cross the total line, of
or
course.
like physical violence or things like that.
Yes, something like that, but it won't.
Yeah,
Because like the end of the day, let's say I don't want to bounce, I just say, hey, catch me later. I'm tired. Like, dude, I'm old. Like, I'll just use that, bro. I'm old.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like, let me warm up, please.
yeah,
You know, you gotta understand. You are
yeah,
not worth me not breaking for the rest of my life right now.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I want to do this,
Yeah, I think that's another
and you
thing
better
too.
understand that. And I don't
Yeah,
give a fuck what anyone says out there.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't
But
care what.
that's
I'll go on the mic. Hey, then maybe I'll force you. Hey, I'm on the mic. I'll call me on after. Let me warm up. Let me do my thing. Sorry, I'm ruining the show. Like I'm ruining the WWE moment right now, but it's not worth my health right now.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
as easy as that, which most b-boys can't do either. They
yeah,
don't know how to say no.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
They have
it's,
to always prove it to prove themselves. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. This is another thing that me and Renegade talked about, is like there's a lot of the stuff that this dance and culture is built off of is like kids kind of mentality, and
Yeah.
like because it was
Be
invented
boys.
by kids, and
Boys. Yeah, kids.
yeah, right, and like at a certain point you got to be like, all right, yeah, like I can't do that anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I can't just go into a battle right away without doing anything like
Right.
warm up or stretching like that. Because
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, and I would see things like, yo, I saw these guys, and they were like, they didn't cipher at all, and they were just stretching and warming up, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of get that. Like, they're not being raw, but also like they're kind of thinking long term. Like, I don't want to get injured, and I don't want to like
Yeah.
do
No.
this stuff or whatever.
I have a story of my friend. Um, this was 9 years ago. And I remember I was at practice. This is before I bailed drum ski, like a month or two. And it was kind of like, yeah, I hit some shit and I was done with practice. He's like, why are you just sitting there? Like, yo, I'm done with practice. There was like an hour left. Yeah, I was just, no, I'm done with practice. Fast forward now, he hurt himself and he doesn't really break anymore.
Mm.
And he's hurt his back.
Mm-hmm.
That's because of that mentality of pushing.
Yeah.
I don't believe in pushing anymore, even though it looks like it. Like it looks like this guy's every day fucking working out. I
Well,
am working out every
you're
day.
pushing something different.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pushing it, but I'm not pushing to where I can't walk. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I
You're
mean?
you're maybe pushing your like discipline or
Yeah,
something else like that.
I'm not going to injury. I'm chipping away. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I talked about the wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't always create waves.
Mm-hmm.
I ride waves when they come, but I chip away. I'm consistent at chipping away because that chipping away is not nothing. It just doesn't seem like anything at the time. But if I do it every day, it's like farmer strength. If I do it every day, I do this every day. Once the wave comes in, I'm good.
Mm.
Or for instance, if I let's say I have a like I'll do the way I'm doing now. It seems like a lot, but I'm actually not doing a lot. But then it's like, oh, I have a battle. Okay, now I can start upping the level,
Mm.
challenging my body, da 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 da, to a healthy state, push myself. But it's not like tomorrow I'm gonna fucking do some crazy shit, and I have done that. And
Mm.
trust me, it sucks.
Yeah.
So I work out the way so I can just do it.
Mm.
So then when I get ready for competition, it's like, all right, let me push it up. I have that's a 2 month plan of increasing all the way up till I get to a peak, staying at the peak, and then taper down.
Mm.
Then my body's ready.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just like getting wiser in that sense because yeah, I can't just. And here's the thing: when I'm at an event, I can't. I have to choose either I'm going to cipher or compete. That's just what it is.
Mm.
Because I'm 45, man. About to be 46 in July. I
Yeah.
can't do it. I can't, dude. I get tired shopping, bro. Walking around shopping, I'm tired. Like
Yeah.
that's like, oh shit, the whole man shit's real.
Yeah.
But it's amazing because at a gym, if I pace myself, I'll do excellent. That's what's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And like
I have a better energy in that.
there's everyone's got like different goals and stuff, and can inspire people in different ways too. Like to me, seeing someone who's older, like say you or like a guy like Po One or whoever, right? And people who can still go, and then they might not be going how they used to go, but they can still go and they can still dance and express music and still do cool stuff, and it doesn't even have to be like whatever crazy flippy
I'm working,
sort of.
and that's the thing. I'm working on the crazy shit.
But
I am.
yeah,
I
yeah.
am
So
working on the crazy shit.
so like to me, it's inspiring to see people like that, like yourself and others that it shows me that like you can keep doing this if you
I
know
mean,
how to,
because
if you go, if you approach it the right way.
yes, because it's not a contact sport. Most people like they'll retire like a boxer because yeah, you're getting punched in the face.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so yeah, like unless I do a 1.5 and get a concussion, which I have gotten a concussion before, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's rarity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not that, it's not like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, if I take care of myself and not cipher the whole day and then concentrate on that, I could perform well. And if I drill the moves that I want, like air flares, I'm really working on air flares, still working on my flare 90 to make it clean. And my
Mm-hmm.
basic power, even I said this, it's like, and it's coming up, so I gotta step up, pocket by 50. And I said I'm gonna be, pocket by 50, even though it's like I don't know where I'll be at 50, but it'll be definitely better than where I was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like if I could get to I don't know, who's a decent power move guy. I don't know, but like, if it's decent, then shit, that's an achievement. Because
Yeah.
I was opposite. I started, like I said, I started out with hip hop freestyle versus like, most kids when they do breaking, they start with a windmill. Like, oh my God, you're 12. Oh shit, a windmill looks fucking crazy. So you start out with the power move mentality. I was opposite. It's like I want to dance, I want to groove, I want to feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
While like, while later on I'm like, okay, let's see if I can fly. Which is funny. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is crazy. But again, even though you see me practicing air flares, I'm not practicing air flares every day. But
Uh-huh.
I'm working out the same muscles that you need to do air flare.
Hmm.
So that way when it's air flare day, I could just work it
Hmm.
and then call it a day and then work those muscles again versus kind of like trying to do the air flare again and like, get the impact and then hurt myself. Do
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's something still being worked. Nothing is really being let go. It's
Mm-hmm.
more just, it's more just smart working out or smart practice versus just like how, what I said,
Yeah.
the young, I'm gonna do 50 of them, I don't care. And then your muscle memory goes down and your technique is actually getting worse, but you want to keep doing it because you're forcing
Yeah.
it versus chipping away.
Yeah.
You
Practicing
know,
hard versus practicing smart, right?
smart, yeah, 100. Intelligent practice. That's one thing. That's like, how do you do it? Well, I do work out like 6 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and I work on breaking like once a week, maybe twice a week max. That's because my body will heal better that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because regardless, that impact, boy, tell you. If I did that
Yeah.
impact, the impact that my joints take every day, nah, there's no way.
No.
But you know, I could jump rope or I could do calisthenics. Yeah, I could do that every day. I could
Yeah.
work out different parts of my body and work on the impact of what does it feel like, and my body's ready to go. So it's
Mm-hmm.
dope. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The
for
only
sure.
thing that I'm missing is so me and Eddie Styles won a battle in Mexico in December, and it was just weird because I haven't danced in front of people in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because pre-pandemic, I would go to a session once a week. But I was working out. I'm working out harder now, but I was working out session once a week, so I was used to dancing in front of people, ciphering, whatever. So this time it was like weird. Like, but
Yeah.
what was crazy, my stamina was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like my recovery time was really good. It was just weird dancing in front of people. And then I finally got like comfortable in the finals, which was weird. Then we ended up winning, but it was like kind of like, oh shit. But it felt crazy because like, oh shit, people, and then COVID like holy cough on me. Like I was like, oh, and then but I was tripping out because like my body feels amazing. Like my recovery time, like I could hit around and be like, and then I could go again. Like before, it was like even I was working out back then. It was still not. It was still good, but this was just like what the fuck? Like, oh, this is
Yeah.
crazy. So I'm like, yo, this could work. Like I
Yeah.
could do this. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like excellently. And I think everyone tripped out when they found out how old we were because Eddie's 42.
Oh,
I'm
damn.
45. So they were tripping. I was like, wait, you guys are the oldest guys in the gym. You guys end up winning. Like these guys are doing air flares and shit like that. They're doing fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. So that longevity thing is like that's how I hope to
Mm-hmm.
inspire people in that like take your time, man. You have that's part of the young man mentality. It's just that oh fuck, I gotta do it now. It's like yeah, actually,
Yeah.
if you take your time, you can make you could be a cockroach. You could be like like a cockroach. It's like I'm not going anywhere. Like hard to get rid of me, man. Like I'm
Yeah.
just there. You know what I'm
But
saying?
it's, it's like different ways of proving yourself, right?
Yeah,
Like, some people, they think the way to prove yourself is to, yeah, like win Red Bull PC1 or win
yeah, yeah. It
Undisputed or
doesn't.
whatever.
It's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, it's not the only avenue to go. And if you could do it
Yeah.
all, I think that's dope.
It,
It's just again awareness helps you with like you guys got like you have guys like Vic, you have guys like Rocks right that are really just they're not about I'm the fucking they're more like okay I lost next one
on to the next one.
which
Yeah.
is yeah next one cool good okay whatever
What can
I
I
want
do
to
to
see
get
my
better?
boss
Okay. All right.
yeah that's it and that's the attitude to have because like at the end of the day you're just getting better and then
Mm-hmm.
you're supplying your gifts and inspiration to everyone else more than just like I'm that dude I could talk shit.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that has a longevity like that except for Muhammad Ali. Like I can't think of anyone else. And and he admitted I do it because I watched wrestling. Like it wasn't personality, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you look at Muhammad Ali, he's really actually a giving person. It was just
Yeah.
he knew that drama was gonna sell tickets. Like that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, it's
But you
like,
can look at everything else in his life.
yeah.
He was a giver, man. He was
Yeah.
about working hard. He's about okay, taking it to the next level,
Mm-hmm.
and he was about like his integrity, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what stood out about him. Like, yo, I'm not gonna fight
Mm-hmm.
war. That's what my beliefs are. You know what I mean? So I think that's what made him great too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like you know, and you can see the people right now in breaking world where it was all that fucking blah blah blah, the best. Da, da. You can look at them now, and I don't see them. I don't
Mm-hmm.
see anything where it's like valid. Like I don't see anything where it's just like they're saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because they kind of just now it's just they're talking crazy talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're talking some other shit versus their initial talent. And that's because you can't be that young man past 30. You
Yeah.
just can't. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no way. If you do, something's gonna hit. Your mentality's gonna hit, or your body,
Yeah.
right? Or both. Shit, goddamn, you see
Yeah.
both. Or they're like alcoholics and shit or whatever, and just
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
just so it's like regardless if you want longevity and everything, you're forced to get healthy. Some way, one way or another, either mentally or physically or both. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. And that's the adaptation. Yeah, that's the awareness and adaptation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
For
I might have
sure.
to call this soon, man. I
Yeah.
have
I
to
was
wrap
just gonna
it
say.
up.
That's probably a
Dude,
good spot.
we're just talking about some other shit. It's just
And
kind
there's
of tight.
like a whole bunch of other stuff that I still want to talk to you
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
So
we could
we'll,
do this again. We
yeah,
could
we
do
should
this
do it
again.
again.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
but
this is dope because yeah, man, like you're asking questions that sometimes like not a lot of people ask, which is, you know what I mean? Like, like we're
yeah,
getting really deep into the things of like what's not being talked about that needs to be talked about.
that's the stuff I like. I
That's
like
dope.
having deep conversations and stuff like that, which is
That's
kind of
dope.
why the name of the podcast is like Beyond the Dance Floor. It's not,
Right, right.
there's stuff that happens. We all love this dance and there's
Yeah.
whatever, but there's so much more to it. There's like, we got into
100.
like trauma. You were talking about trauma and
Yeah,
human like DNA and animal instincts and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that. And
dude.
we
It's
talk
crazy,
about,
man. I've been really into that. That's just been
yeah.
banana studying that because it was like the thought used to be like, you're doing it on purpose. Like this is 2021.
Mm,
And because of 2020, we saw what people became.
mm,
Good people became.
mm,
Like, they still did foul shit. Why? Because of Trump. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like good people, like and that's why it's like, man, like, I don't put once if you those things hit, can your what you call enlightened will help you, and then you might do some foul ass shit just because of survival. You know what I
mm,
mean? Just because survival, just because of trauma, just because of the animal. Like, and
mm,
if you don't understand that of yourself, then I only present it because if you can understand that about yourself, you can make better decisions.
mm.
You'll know what's talking. You'll feel it. Like,
Yeah,
oh, this is talking right now. So maybe I shouldn't act. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that way you don't send things. Boom! I said it.
But yeah, like but anyway, these kind of conversations are good and they need to happen more often. And
100. 100. Yeah, I think that's what's good about, talking about lanes and stuff like that, you know, because like when I do the trades, obviously I can't have a whole episode like this, right?
mm,
That's what's gonna make what makes my show different from your show. Like you're
yeah.
going deep,
Mm,
so this is good for people to know it's out there.
mm.
Because I'll be on trades like, hey, today we're talking about trauma. They're like, man, I just want
What the hell is this?
like I just want to know who won. What's your opinions on Jethro and shit. Like, or I want, I thought I like Flea Rock's set. Like, we're gonna talk about some other shit. Like time, and it's again time and place, right? Awareness, time and place, and
Yeah.
that's what's dope. Like that's why
Mhm.
it's fresh, man. Keep it going, dude.
Yeah.
Keep it
Thank
going,
you.
man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And yeah, appreciate you taking the time and like
For sure.
sharing all your thoughts. And again, there's like a whole bunch of other stuff that
Yeah, dude. We
I want to
haven't.
talk about.
We just
I
talked about
totally
one
would.
thing.
I was going into this thinking like, oh yeah, we'll just like nerd out on footwork and stuff like that, and we
Yeah,
didn't even
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Nah, because it has to do psychologically why we.
yeah,
Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, there's
yeah.
reasons. You know what I'm saying?
We
This
got
is a
in.
good.
This
This
is
is, this is a way to like kind of like next one conversation. We can
yeah,
segue into that, like
yeah, yeah,
why
yeah,
we like the things that we like. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Yo,
Yeah.
man.
So
Yeah, we'll do it again for sure sometime in the future. But
right,
yeah, for
right,
everyone listening and watching, thanks for doing that. And again, thanks Profo for
cool.
all your knowledge
Hey,
and
Razzy D, Dean, Razzy D, Filthee Feet. You know what's up?
yeah. All right. Peace
All right,
everybody. See you in
peace.
the next one.